What is up everyone? Today in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to upgrade your Xbox Originals hard drive. This is to assume that you have a soft modded Xbox. So in my case I am using Rocky 5's Xbox soft modding tool, and we are going to replace the stock hard drive, which you only get about 5 to 10 gigabytes depending on your model, and we're going to use a Sata hard drive, at least 1 terabyte. We need to hot swap the DVD drive with the hard drive, which I'll show you how to do, and there is several things that you do need prior to doing this. We'll be using a Chimp Loader, and instead of using the IDE drive, which the stock hard drives use, which you can use if you want to, but in my case I am using a SATA hard drive with an adapter and stuff. So I'm going to show you how to do the transplant, and then I'll show you what stuff that you do need in order to do this process. Alright, so the first thing I recommend doing is checking whether or not your hard drive is compatible with doing the soft mod. With soft mods you do need to make sure your hard drive is lockable, and you need to lock it to the system at the end of the process. If you do not lock your drive, or it unlocks while you're using the system, you accidentally unlock it, when you boot it up next time you'll get a hard drive error. So in short, you do need to get a hard drive that is lockable. As you can see here is a list of hard drives that's lockable or not. I am using this Western Digital Caviar Blue, and the model number is WD10EZEX. So what I'm going to do is put that into this model search bar, and then click enter, and then you can see whether or not these are lockable. And as you can see here, yes, and it tells you all the different variants of this model, and the brand is Western Digital. So I am actually good to go. So it is risky to just randomly pick a hard drive, because if it isn't lockable and you don't hard mod your Xbox, you have the risk of bricking it. So it is worth just double checking whether it's lockable or not. And it also tells you which programs you can, which program you have to use. In most cases it's Chimp within the Softmod. So this is just for SATA hard drives. So if you do have a IDE drive, you can just search its model number again, and then it will tell you whether or not it's lockable. So in my case I am using SATA. I do need 2 other things to do the hot swap method. First thing is I am going to be using this Startech IDE to SATA adapter converter. I do recommend getting this brand specifically, just because most people have had successful results using this brand. And as you can see here, it has the cable, slave and master set. So when you do the hot swap you need to first change it to slave, and then clone the drive, and then change it back to master once you do the swap. And it also comes with this Molex power adapter. You need to power up the hard drive using this Molex adapter. When you do the hot swap it needs to be powered on. Obviously the DVD drive on the Xbox, it doesn't have the Molex power, so you can get other brands. It doesn't have to be the Startech one, but you need to make sure that it has the 2 capacitors on the board itself. So if you do get a cheaper one, then not too sure if this one would do, but I've seen some where it has capacitors on the actual circuit board, at least 2 of them. So as long as it has that, you are good. But if not, just stick to the Startech IDE to SATA one. This is the one I am using, and I also need to get this, which is a 80-pin IDE cable with a transfer rate of 133 megabytes per second. This is, I think, wider than the original, I believe. So you need this to run a SATA hard drive, because the original 24-pin IDE cable would not be sufficient enough to power the Sata one. So if you use the original cable, you're going to run into a lot of errors, a lot of hard drive errors, or it might not run at all. So this is only like £3, so it is recommended to get a different, or get the 80 pin IDE cable with use with the Startech IDE adapter. If you get an IDE hard drive instead of a SATA one, then the only thing that you would need is this Molex Y splitter. And again, this is just to power on the hard drive to do the hot swapping method. Without this, you're going to have to power up a different way. You can also use another Xbox to power up the IDE hard drive, but you do need to make sure one of them is connected with an AV cable. Or you can use like an external power source or external hard drive case. But the cheapest way is just to get a Y splitter, and that will power up the IDE hard drive. So that is pretty much just the main things to look out for. If you're using a SATA hard drive, then you do need an IDE converter with a 80 pin cable. And if you're using a IDE hard drive, then you just need the Molex power splitter cable to power on the hard drive. So just to clarify, it is a bit confusing at first, but the cheaper method is just upgrading the IDE, using an IDE hard drive and getting something that's smaller. I will warn you that 500 gigabytes IDE will cost you more than a 1 terabyte SATA hard drive. But then buying a 1 terabyte SATA hard drive, you do need to buy the additional 2 things, which could cost the same as a 500 gigabyte IDE, but it depends on what you want to do. I'm solely just using my hard drive for Xbox Originals rather than emulation. That is the things that you do need in order to start the process. Alright, so the next thing that you need is the Chimp Loader as well as XP Partitioner, and this is all in the extras disk, and I've already done a video of how to FTP this, but I'm going to show you again if you are starting from fresh. So click on the link and then click on build, and then there's the Xbox Softmod kit builds, and then you want to click it and then download. Once that's downloaded, you should get a folder that looks like this, and then you just need to unzip it. Double click build, and then you see here where it says extras disk. You can ignore everything else. Here is our extras ISO, so you can actually burn this on disk if you have a DVD burner. If not, we're just going to FTP the disk. So click on extras and then extract these files here, and we need to place the ISO into this folder. So you should have something that looks like this. So we need to copy these 2 folders to our Xbox. We need to load up WinSCP. So this is the FTP client that I'm using. And then grab your IP address from your Xbox. Username is Xbox. Password is Xbox. And then log in. So once you have your files, you want to put it into your E drive under applications, and then you can see I've already got the folders here because I've already done this, but all you need to do is drag these folders onto the root of your applications, and it's as simple as that. So once this is finished transferring, you can then go back to your Xbox, and then we can install Chimp Loader and also the XP Partitioner. So this is handy if you want to expand your hard drive that exceeds 1 terabyte. Alright, so right now we are going to install Chimp Loader and XP Partitioner. So under applications, we want to load up the Xbox Softmod Tool Extras disk. Okay, once it's done its thing, we can then go on to install applications. Sorry, go back. Advanced menu. And then go on to advanced apps. And there you see Chimp 261812. Click that and then you want to click install. I've already got it installed, so I don't need to do this part. So I can back out. And then the XP partitioner version 1.3. Click on that and then just install to E applications. There's also a bunch of other programs that you can install applications. So just get accustomed to some of these features here. Okay, once it's installed, we can then go ahead and just restart the Xbox. Right, so I'm going to show you how to open up the Xbox and prepare everything ready for the hard drive hot swap. And just to let you know, I am using a component cable, AV cable. I've heard that Chimp Loader has issues with certain HDMI converters and also some composite cables. So make sure you have an AV cable on hand, specifically the original cable that came with the Xbox, because the program might not show up. So first off, I'm just going to unplug everything, and then there will be like 6 torque 20 screws, 2 by the security seals, and then the rest by the feet of the Xbox. Flip it over and then the top bit should just pop out. And there will be also 4 T10 torque screws, one here, one there, and on the left side of the DVD drive there'll be one right down there. So just go ahead and unscrew those. I have my 80-pin IDE cable, Startech Sata or IDE to Sata converter. That's what it looks like. And there's the jumpers. So we need to set this as slave. Here's our Molex power adapter. So that just slots in here. Then we have our SATA hard drive. And we're going to remove this 40-pin IDE cable, the original one. So the best thing to do is to lift the hard drive up first, pull that to a side, lift the DVD drive, and just let it kind of rest on top, like so. Leaving a gap at the back here. It's pretty simple to remove the IDE cable. All you have to do is just unplug the hard drive out first. Try not to be too forceful, else you might break the tab. There's the old one removed. Now remember the placement of these connectors, because this is exactly the same layout. I think this side is longer though, so we need to fold it as well. We need to fold it similar to the original cable here, and if I can just mimic it, something like that. I guess needs to be a crease here. Just preparing the IDE cable, because when putting it back it can be a bit difficult and can easily break the cable if it's not in correctly, which has actually happened to me. Has made a hole in the previous cable when I tried to put it back and I didn't fold it correctly. You can see here there's like 2 tears there from trying to force the top part of the case. So you need to watch out for that. Let's try and plug all of this in. The problem is this cable here is upside down, so you're going to have to twist this somehow or fold it. It's very awkward. It's super easy to accidentally tear this cable if you get it wrong. So far my cable looks something like this. I've folded it several times without the cables being too messed up. And then here I'm just going to fold it once over, so then the cable slides under this clip here, and fold it this way. You can see which way is facing the top because there's like grips here, so fold it that way and then that can go in here. Something like that will work. I need to remove this Molex cable here. Unplug this, grab your replacement hard drive. If you're using an IDE one, you obviously don't need to have this set up here. You can literally just plug the IDE cable into here, and then you need to power it by itself or using the Molex Y splitter. Can be tricky to get the power cable back into the hard drive when it's still in its caddy, so if you do find it difficult, then what you can do is just lift this up, and then you see there are like 4 Torx 15 screws on either side, or 2 on each side here, and then you can remove the hard drive and it's easier to put all the cables back in. If you've got an anti-static bag, then it's recommended to put this on top of the DVD drive, just so there's no interference that might damage the hard drive. If you don't have one, it's no big deal. You can put something else underneath, but just for safety measures, I am putting an anti-static bag on top of the DVD drive. So that's all plugged in. Okay, so to do the hot swapping method, you need to quickly take the DVD ribbon cable out. You have literally like 4 seconds to do this from initial boot up, and then plug this into the Sata drive or the Startech IDE converter, and then leave it there until you run Chimp Loader. So you literally have 4 seconds to do that. I would just practice on removing the cable and then plugging this in, just so you can do this in a smooth sort of motion rather than getting it stuck. Okay, so another thing is you need to make sure that this is set to slave on the jumper, and then your original Xbox hard drive is set to master. You'll see like a jumper in there, and then on here it will tell you which way the jumper should be set in order for it to be master, slave or cable select. If you're using the IDE drive, then you just set this to CS, which is cable select, and then still this needs to be set to master. So make sure your jumpers are set correctly before you do the hot swap. Right, so I'm going to plug this all in and then power it all. So right now I'm going to plug this all in and then try to do the hot swap. One last thing I forgot to mention is I'm actually using a Mad Catz third-party controller, and this actually works to navigate Chimp Loader. I've heard that most third-party controllers will not work with that software, so just be warned that it's preferred to use a original Xbox controller for this method. I mean, you can gamble and try a third-party one, but I'm not too sure which ones are compatible or not for the program. But this one here seems to work fine when navigating through the menus of Chimp Loader. So we're back onto the Xbox, and as you can see at the top left, you can see that I have like 4 gigs left. We have already done the hot swap, so I've already switched the DVD drive to the SATA drive, and now I'm going to click on Applications, Chimp Loader, and then it will come up with this menu here, and I'm just going to leave it for like 10 to 15 minutes just so this initiates with the hard drive. Some hard drives it might just connect straight away. I think with a lot of IDE ones it will just load up. Because I'm using a 1 terabyte WD SATA hard drive, this will take about 10 minutes for the program to actually load, so leave this for about that and then come back to it. Alright, so once Chimp has successfully loaded, you should have something that looks like this. So we just need to press enter to activate this console, and that's just A on the controller pad. Now click on disclaimer, just read that. It says do not unlock your master. Here we have a bunch of options here, and just click on disclaimer. So it just basically warns you not to unlock your master hard drive, because if you unlock your hard drive, then well, on a soft modded system, then it will probably brick it. If yours is a hard mod, then I guess it doesn't matter, but in my case I am using a soft modded Xbox, so do not unlock your master hard drive. Click OK. So it's soft modded Xbox we need. Click yes. Do you agree? Yes. And then scan physical IDE drives. And then here we have the master drive as our default Xbox drive, the 10GB one, and then our slave drive, which is the new WD 1 terabyte SATA drive, and that is currently locked. So we do need to unlock the slave drive, so then we can do a backup of, or a clone of, the master hard drive. Choose, well, it doesn't matter which way. I mean, as long as you have already backed up your EEPROM, then I am going to be doing from Xbox hard drive. This is the master hard drive EEPROM, and then this is going to unlock it with nullify the hard drive with and set the key to all ones. So click yes. If we scan again, it should say the slave hard drive is unlocked. So that's what we need for now. Clone from master to slave. Now only choose full disk if you are cloning a hard drive with the exact same memory size. So if yours is a 10GB master hard drive and you have a 10GB slave one, then only do that. But in my case, we are upgrading it to a 1 terabyte, so choose selective, click OK. Again, if you're only doing a 10GB to 10GB, then choose C and E. I have 1 terabyte, so I'm going to choose C, E, F and G. If you have a 2 terabyte hard drive, then you need to make sure one of your partitions isn't exceeding 1 terabyte, because then you can come across a load of issues. So make sure one of the partitions isn't above 1 terabyte. You need to split them evenly. So I'm just going to choose F occupies all available space. And then click format. Now this shouldn't take long, depending on how much stuff you have on your hard drive. I have like 4 gigabytes remaining, so this should only take about 10 minutes to format. But if you have a hard drive that's almost full, then it could take an hour or so. We have finally finished cloning the drive, and it actually took a lot longer than expected. The whole process of cloning to a 1 terabyte drive took about an hour, and then to actually format the drive it took about 15 to 20 minutes. So all in all it took about an hour and 20, an hour and a half. So be aware of that before you do this whole process. Just leave it to do its thing and then come back to it when it's ready. After it's been cloned, it says lock slave HD, and we want to make sure we lock the hard drive to the Xbox, so we want to click yes. So our slave drive has been locked successfully, and now we're going to just double check this by choosing scan physical IDE drives. And what you want to see here is obviously your model number of your drives, and then they are both locked. So this is a good sign. We can now back out of this. Our image should be successfully transferred to the new drive, and what we need to do now is just go on to other options and then shut down. So after you shut down the Xbox, we want to then swap out the slave drive, which is our Sata one. Turn that into a master drive, so change the jumper, replace the Xbox original hard drive, and then we can just put that to a side. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click shut down. Right, so with the Hotswap complete, we can now transfer this hard drive into the main bay. We can remove the 10 gigabyte original Xbox IDE drive. So what I'm going to do is unplug the Sata IDE, make sure there's no power to the Xbox while doing this, then remove the Molex splitter. Now we're actually going to have to take the screws off this hard drive, so let's just get rid of anti-static bag. There are 2 Torx 15 screws on the side we need to get rid of. Unscrew them. Next, this hard drive will become free, and you can actually keep this. If your new hard drive fails and you didn't back up your EEPROM, then you can just install your original hard drive and it should work again. So this is a good thing to have, just to keep as a backup, just in case anything goes wrong with this. Or if you decide to unlock other drives, you can use this hard drive to then continue to mod it. So it's worth just kind of keeping regardless. It's only 10 gigabytes. Right, I'm going to grab the new drive, install it into the hard drive caddy, putting the screws back in. Right, actually what I'm going to do is plug everything in first, and I need to switch this jumper to master, not slave anymore. So a crucial moment is to check that your adapter is set to master and not slave before you do the installation. It's going to be tricky to kind of hide some of these because there isn't much room available for me to put this cable somewhere. I'm just going to screw these 4 screws back in. Okay, so the screws are on, and now we're just going to insert the IDE cable into the adapter. Quite tricky to get these cables all snug, because once you put everything back in, the cable is going to get all squished either way. Hoping I can just squeeze these power cables back here, just underneath the connector, and I've tried my best not to fold the cables too much where there's a loose connection. Just going to make a fold here so then I can put the cable just underneath that tab there. It's the best that I can get it without actually damaging the cable itself, so I think this will do. This cable is definitely longer than the other one, so you're just going to have to fold it in a way where it doesn't damage the cable itself and obscure the top casing. Instead of screwing this back in fully, I'm just going to test whether or not this is fine, because if you turn it on and you get an error message, then it's most likely the cable, or it could be the cloning of the hard drive. So just double check it before you put everything back together. Let's plug this back in. Okay, so we have successfully swapped the hard drive, and as you can see, my F and G drives now have about 473 gigabytes. C and E is the same. And to confirm this, we can just go on the System, Settings, Storage, and you can just see the available space on F and G. X, Y, and Z is just the cache location for the Xbox. Everything looks fine. It says status locked. Make sure you just keep that locked on a soft modded Xbox. If you do have problems doing the hot swap, then just double check your jumper settings. So if you have an IDE drive that you're hot swapping with, check the jumper is set to CS, cable select, when you do the hot swap, and then change it to master when you replace it. And then with the SATA drive, just change it to slave when you do the hot swap, back to master once you replace the original drive. Other things you can just double check is whether or not the DVD drive, his power is still plugged in, because I had a problem with connecting everything back together, but the power plug was slightly out, so it wasn't booting up the DVD drive. Also just check your cable that you haven't teared it, and that's pretty much it. As long as you followed all the steps thoroughly, then you shouldn't have a problem. But yeah, if you do have any questions, then please leave a comment on the comment section below. I hope this tutorial has been useful for you guys, and yeah, it's nice to have a bigger hard drive space rather than the 10 gigabyte that the original gives you, and you'll be able to just run a bunch of emulators, a bunch of programs, and play all your backups. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again on another video.